Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I thought I'd do something a little bit less common. So last year, about this time, just about exactly a year ago, I mounted some orchids in my in-laws' backyard in Central Florida, just as an experiment to see if they will take, how well they do, and also I was running out of space, and so it's like a win-win. So I mounted a bunch of Cattleya species as well as a little bit of hybrids and some others. And now a year later, fast forward, I basically mounted them by just like zip tying them on a tree, and it's kind of not the best arrangement because there are only 2 trees. But I still want to show you how they turn out to be a year later. I tried to find the footage from a year ago, but I couldn't find it. So here it goes. And I already taken off the zip tie and someone that did not really take, and those are in that pile. And honestly, most of the plants did pretty okay. Not well, but at least they survived. And also last year wasn't that cold of a winter, if I remember correctly. But just really quickly, start from the bottom up. This was one Cattleya purpurata that I got. And purpurata is really robust. Look at all the roots it put out over the course of the past year, and it's just mounted itself onto the tree very well. Also, this is kind of a dappled shade spot you see right now. It's about late morning. So there's plenty of sun, but not like a drastic amount of sun. So that's a purpurata. And I feel like now I'm just throwing out names because they all look the same. But this was a Cattleya quadricolor I got from Ecogenera. Not the most common species, but I heard it does well in very wet areas, so I put it kind of lower on the tree. Again, mounted itself to the tree really, really well. And this is a species that flower about the same time as Trianni, but I think the flower doesn't open as much as Trianni, but it smells nicer than Trianni, so pros and cons. And this is the sheath. Hopefully it will bloom this Christmas, who knows. And this is a Cattleya tenebrosa. I don't really like tenebrosa myself, but as an experiment, again, has mounted itself. So far all the Brazilian Cattleya has done pretty okay. Species, they're all species, by the way. Okay, and further up you can see this one with the bud. That is a Brassavola little star, and a very famous and vigorous hybrid. It didn't really grow that much. I suspect it's not that warm for it, especially in the winter, but again, it's flowering and it's mounted itself. Not a specimen, but I'm happy with the progress. Here is another little stars. It's kind of a mess on that mound when I took it down, but again, flower buds, so doing okay there. And here is a gigantic piece of, not gigantic, here's a piece of cork that I had a seedling purpurata on, and you see the size of the piece of the cork. It just mounted itself onto the tree. It's just behind the cork. I can't even see the roots outside of the cork. I'm assuming because where the cork meets the trunk is really moist, so a lot of roots just got in there, and it's really actually sturdy, surprisingly. So again, purpurata, very robust species. It's just kind of big. Okay, moving higher up, I don't actually remember what this one was, and obviously it's not doing so well. I think it's one of the Richard Miller hybrids, actually. They're really robust in cultivation, but I don't think they like the cool, not so hot winter here in Central Florida. Here, I think this is a Golden Tang, again a Richard Miller hybrid. This one flowered this past year, did okay. Don't remember what that one was. These were I want to say Cattleya tigrina. I actually kind of regret putting it here because I really wanted a piece of it back, but it's kind of mounted itself here, so I don't also want to disturb it. But tigrina is a species that likes it warm and hot. Again, probably not the best winter for it. And also you can see the pseudobulb got, like, this was the older one, and that one I think was there when I took it down, and it's progressively gotten smaller. But also it's a bifoliate. I just shoved it on there in the winter, so I'm actually really surprised it didn't die. Also, the new growth is really nice despite the size. So who knows, maybe one day it will become really nice. This one with the leaf on it, it might be another tigrina. I don't remember, probably. And this one Honestly, I don't remember what it was. This is a problem with not putting tags on. But maybe it was a Glandii? No, I don't know. I don't remember anymore. Okay, here is a Percivaliana. Not doing the best, but struggling, surviving. Here are, that's a Logisia, I think. Also not doing so great. But again, still, alive. Okay, moving further up, those are some Wakariana I got. And then this was a Porous of Paradise. Can't believe I took my favorite hybrid Porous of Paradise and put it here. It's doing okay, I guess. Not, it's not doing as good as when it was in the greenhouse, of course, but I'm not too sad. And next to it is a Rhyncholalia aristocrat. This one is doing surprisingly well. You see the sheath up here. Given how warm of one of its parents came from, I'm genuinely surprised. And that's the theme of all the Rhyncholadeas, by the way. You'll see a little bit more in a little bit. Well, I guess in a little bit, here it is. Here is a Glauca. This one is kind of not attaching itself, but I took down the zip tie and we'll see what happens. And up top, couple of hybrids that are too decimated, and I can't recall what they are. And this one was a Dendrobium pumpkin patch. I think it's either the antelope kind or the Phalaenopsis kind, or the hybrid between those. But basically, they're really warm growing ones. And these are very robust plants. And look at the roots it put out. It's just crazy. Here is another keiki of the same Dendrobium. And here is a Oncidium cherry baby. Because in our home, cherry baby is always too big and putting down those gigantic spikes. And the plants gets huge really quickly. So I was like, well, this is a perfect spot for it on the tree. The sun is kind of out. Oh, you kind of see the nice ring on the camera of the sun. But, it's not doing that well. But again, it's also attached itself. Again, like Oncidium cherry baby is a really warm growing species. So I'm really surprised it's actually survived. Up there, that is Stanhopeia. That is putting out two new growth. That's one, and there's another one. I've never really grown Stanhopeias before. This was kind of an experiment to see if it'll survive. And Stanhopeia is one of the species likes it really moist year round. So far it's struggling on. And on top, this is another Dendrobium pumpkin patch. Again, look at the vigorous roots. And here is another Cattleya hybrid. I think this is Yen's Surprise. Looks like it flowered over the past year. But the pseudobulb and the leaves are a little bit shriveled. So I don't know if it'll survive, but at least for now, it's there. Okay, let me just go back to the highest layer. Oh, I used to be so tall. How did I put them up there? That's a Rhyncholalia digbyana. You see it flowered the past year, and then it's working on new growth, fabulous roots. This is another Rhyncholalia digbyana. This one is also working on a couple of new growths. But again, Rhyncholalia digbyana is from the central. Sorry for the siren. About the siren. From the Central America, like the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, and all that area. So I'm really surprised it's doing much better than I thought, because I thought it would be really warm loving. More warm probably doesn't help, but in cultivation we always say they grow slow, and some people might think they're finicky, but they're really tough plants. I guess they just need a lot of moving area and sun maybe. Yeah, and look at the beautiful roots. I just love it when the roots attach themselves to the tree. It's just so beautiful. And sometimes you see those gigantic root tips. I think this one belongs to the Tenebrosa. You'll be like, oh wow, look at that. Okay, now I sound like a nerd. Okay, moving on to another tree. This one is more in the shade. I attached a couple of the nobili dendrobiums. Here is a phylum, I think. Well, I guess this is the only one left. it's doing okay. It flowers sporadically in the summer. I mean, in the spring. It put out keikis. Where's the keiki? Yeah. But is it doing its best? Probably not. Is it surviving? Yeah. Is it gonna survive in the coming years? Probably, unless there's a really horrible cold snap or someone take it off. And on top here, I actually put a Encyclia. I'm sorry about the camera work. An Encyclia tapensis. This is the native, Florida native butterfly orchids, native to the Tampa area, I assume, tapensis. I bought it as a seedling, and it has grown maybe 2 new growths. So I will say this one is probably gonna take, and also be native around here. And I know Tampa is not Central Florida, but this is probably, out of all the orchids, this is the one that's closest to its native range. And here is a Dendrobium kinianum, a very popular Aussie, and this one is just so tough. Look at the big fat pseudobulb, and even flowered, I think, this spring or something like that. Again, this one's doing well. I love it. They're just, yeah, I love the Alcides. Okay, and moving on to the next one. Well, I guess the last one. There are a couple that didn't do so well, but I was feeling too sad throwing them out, so I remounted them here. This is a little star. This is another little star. That is an Cattleya that survived and didn't do so well, but I'm like, this is a Cattleya, I can't just throw it away. So we'll see. And back here, a couple of others. And this is the bicolor that I put it together with the pot just as an experiment to see if, make it an easier transition, and also to see if the new growth would just grow onto the bark. Surprisingly, all the roots are still in the pot. This is a 2-inch pot, and it's been a year, and yeah, so I don't know if this is the best decision, but at this point I just leave it as is. Okay, and last but not least, let me show you this is actually second last but not least. This is a mount of Cattleya, Digbyana, glauca. They're hybrids. Aristocrat, here is the aristocrat sheath. I love the texture, wow. Yeah, you see the double sheath, 1, 2, and this one's probably gonna flower in a couple of months. And these are just doing much better than I thought. And of course, there were a couple of other bigger Digbianas, but then I'm like, I want to take it back because they're doing so well. So I took it off and I'm taking it back because I miss having them, and they're always so pricey to get. And there's also a couple in the back. This was a sell from Mrs. Chase, I believe. It never flowered before. I bought it as a sort of a seedling or established seedling, and so far it's pushing out its biggest growth yet. So apparently the growth are getting, let me actually just step back in there. I don't know if you can see, that's the growth. This is a new growth. It's getting progressively bigger. So yeah, I was not expecting Digbianas doing so well here. And there's another Digbiana that's doing well. And really last but not least, here is another Cattleya hybrid. This is just the aristocrat. And next to, this is just aristocrat. I thought I had something else on it. This one's doing really well. Look at all the new growth it's pushing out. And this is a clunky mount, and it has mounted itself on the tree. So, I guess if you take away one thing is that try out different species and hybrids, and some will really surprise you. Like all the birds, like the purple rata, the quadricolor, the tenebrosa, that I thought for sure they're not gonna do well. Well, I had a little more faith in purple rata, but not the other two. And look at this one, the Cattleya. They really just blew my expectations out of the water. So those, I guess, like, who wants to try Cattleya in Central Florida? Apparently, at least the past winter has been kind to them. All right, hope everyone is having a good holiday season. I'll see you next time.